Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Monday Night Live. Me and Marshall under the table chewing furniture. Guys, let me know how your weekend was. I'm just bringing up the chat here. Who we got on the call? Drop into the chat and say hello. I hope you all had a good weekend. Today we're going to talk about LinkedIn Live. Who we got in the chat? Drop in and tell me what city you're tuning in from. I want to make sure that you guys can hear me. David, how you doing? Full of man chores. Who else we got on the call? Anyone from LinkedIn? Might be a bit of a lag. Who we got on the call from LinkedIn? Drop in the comments. Let me know you're alive, guys. Don't want to be speaking to myself. SX UK, David. What time is it there? Hey, Ian. Good man. Might be a bit of a delay. Geez, it's been hot today in Perth, I tell you that. I've got the aircon on in the living room, but it hasn't quite translated into the office just yet. But it's been warm as hell here today. All right, so LinkedIn Live. Well, I guess to give some context, right? Last year, the events of last year have really accelerated what's going on in the world in regards to digital transformation. If your business has been impacted from the unexpected events of 2020 and you're concerned about the recovery out of it, it really is a time to start considering how you might adopt digital transformation into your business. And what's probably more important or most important is the sales and marketing processes that you have in place. And we have, as humans, like a bias towards what we used to do in the past. And so thinking outside the box can be difficult sometimes, but it might be time to consider reinventing your entire business, the entire way you sell, the entire way you market. I know for my business, it took a while for the impact to come through, and some of our clients were impacted quite severely by the pandemic. And I don't know if you guys know, well, most of you probably do. I used to, up until the end of 2019, was doing probably about 50 events a year at least. Probably 10 I organised, 40 are paid speaking gigs, and so I was travelling around Australia a lot. And you know, that momentum created a lot of other opportunities, and all of a sudden it stopped. And you know, I didn't want to dive straight into like doing virtual events and things before I knew what I was doing. So it took quite a lot of planning. And this year I'm rolling out, I think there's 12 digital events planned at the moment, virtual events. And I'm really excited about it because it's actually when you like make the conclusion that that's what you're going to move into, you start putting all your creativity into it. There he is. And you can come up with some products and services which may not exist on the market and do things like in a remarkable way, which become a talking point. The interesting thing is a lot of your competitors are going to be like taking a very long time to adapt, especially if they've been in business a long time. You know, to make changes is going to be very difficult for them. And so if you can do it at an accelerated rate, you've got the opportunity to actually gain market share a lot quicker than you would in a normal market. Anyway, social selling and social media marketing have become what I would call essential. I can't think of any B2B industry with where top salespeople aren't going to be social media savvy. If you think about it, most of them are working remotely. Their customers are working remotely. How are they going to? First of all, all the appointments are going to be virtual, aren't they? How are they going to build rapport? How are they going to follow up? How are they going to build relationships? How are they going to create all those multiple touch points? You know, with social media at your disposal, it becomes pretty obvious that the guys in the sales team that are social media savvy and have a really good social proof there. They've got interactive community that are engaging with them. They're doing stuff online. They're posting customer stories. They're going to do a lot better than the other salespeople, or salespeople that are slower to adopt it. What's happening, Matt? Welcome from Calgary, Alberta. David, 10 a.m. and very cold. Oh, sounds nice at the moment. Hey, Oliver. Nice to see you, mate. Who else we got here? Peter, my man. Hey, I need to give you a call. Hope you're doing well, mate. Happy New Year to all of you. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know in the comments who of you, which ones of you. Sorry, that doesn't make any sense. Which people have we got tuning in have used live video before? It doesn't have to be on LinkedIn, but Facebook, YouTube. If you use live video, let me know in the chat. So LinkedIn was a bit slow to get live video. I think it was 2011 they got video. Was it? Does it sound right? Does it? 2016, I believe they got video. And then LinkedIn Live's been around for a couple of years, and not everybody's got it. You've got to apply, and you've got to be approved to get it. So if you have explored that option and you've applied, and you've either been denied or LinkedIn haven't got back to you, don't stress, because like I did apply 2 or 3 times before I got approved. It's just a few things that they're looking for. So definitely definitely try again. Like if you've applied, maybe wait 2 or 3 months. If you don't hear anything back, I would contact LinkedIn and I would ask them, could you please provide me some feedback as to why I wasn't approved? What they're looking for is content creators that have got a plan to create regular content. So if you're going to post like on average once a week, that's exactly what they're looking for, and they just want to see that you've got a track record of posting valuable content. There's 2 reasons why they haven't just rolled it out to everyone. One is they had some teething issues with the software at the start. It's not like Facebook or YouTube where you just hop on and you can press go live. On LinkedIn, in order to go live, you have to use a third-party software to do it. You can't actually do it within the LinkedIn platform. So they didn't want to roll it out to everyone until they could make sure that there wasn't going to be any issues with it. So that's the first thing, and there have been issues, but it's improved so much. It's improved a lot, and the other thing was they wanted to make sure that the content was valuable, because with these new services, what they do is when LinkedIn Live gets introduced, alerts everyone in the network. It gets an organic push because LinkedIn want to push its new features. And so it didn't want to be pushing crap content. So they want to make sure that the content creators that are going live do it in a way that is valuable and it's not rubbish. Because at the end of the day, if the news feed gets filled with crap content, then people will stop spending so much time on LinkedIn, which becomes a massive problem because they start to lose market share to some of the other social channels. But what's interesting is in the last couple of years, every single year, the amount of time that people are spending on LinkedIn, the members, has gone up. It was 30% 2 years ago, and it was more like 60% in 2020. That's a huge difference, and now there's 3 members joining every second on LinkedIn. It's huge. It's growing. It's growing at an exponential rate at the moment, and it's great to see that trend continue. They haven't sort of filled the newsfeed up with advertising, which is awesome. We're still seeing a lot of organic content get a lot of reach on LinkedIn. But yeah, live video is always going to do really well. Now, let's just look at TV quite quickly. The TV shows that do the best are like the live sports games, the live news, live this, live that, because people like to see it in the moment. And then social media, you've got this added bonus of being able to interact with people. I can, ask you questions. You guys can comment. Let's see, Amelia goes live on Instagram. That's awesome. I'd like to do more of that, to be honest. Peter, my man. I know Peter's really good on Facebook with Facebook Lives. So yeah, we take that from TV, and obviously we saw what happened on Facebook Live. It did really well. If the camera's shaking, that's Marshall. Oi, Marshall! Oi, stop chewing that. Anyway, so when LinkedIn Live was coming out, after seeing what happened on Facebook, I decided that what I would do, and I hadn't seen any other creators doing it yet, is I would go live. Come here, buddy. I would go live once a week. So I want to do it regularly, because I knew that the guys on Facebook, who went live regularly, did really well, and there wasn't anyone doing it on LinkedIn yet. So if you think video's nerve-wracking in general, when you go live, it's a whole other level, because you've got to do it each week. You've got to be like there, sitting there. You've got to have your content prepared. Doesn't matter what you've got on. You've got to be consistent. You can't miss a week, otherwise people won't come back. So it does challenge you in a lot of different ways. But I think it's so important to get the experience. Like these days, if you don't have a lot of content to post and a lot of stories to share, you're in a lot of trouble. And I think the best way to come up with a lot of these things is just to be practicing and going live. And to be honest, I think that the live videos I did a couple of years ago they weren't that bad. I was pretty well prepared back then. But most people aren't like going back now and looking at content 2 years ago. Why would they do that when they can watch this week's or last week's live? So one of the things with live videos, you do want to get engagement. So you notice everyone's saying hello to Marshall. Are you trying to get on the mic, mate? Marshall on the mic. Oh, bless. Podcasting with Marshall. Did someone take a screenshot of this? I could use it in my ads. All right, down you get. All right, so why is it important to get comments? Well, people one click away from leaving your live. It's not like this attention span is very short, so you want to keep them engaged. So you notice at the start, I always ask, hey, what platform are you tuning in from? What city are you based in? Let me know in the comments. And then I want to know that there's people there for me to start talking. It'd be great if you guys were all in front of me, but having you there in the comments is it gives me a lot of interaction, but it also lets me know you're there. And then also what happens, similar to when you post video that's not live, when you get more comments, it exposes it to more people. So the way it kind of works is there's a mixed algorithm, and it'll show when you're looking at your newsfeed, the content that the social media channel will show you is based on a number of things, what are you following, who are you connected to. It even looks at things like what you searched on Google, these cookies on LinkedIn from LinkedIn and Facebook will follow you around. They do know, what your purchasing behavior is things like that. And so there's a lot of factors that go into it, but one of the factors is if somebody that's for example, if Bob, who's a second degree connection of mine, who's not connected with me, and we have a mutual connection, let's call him Ben, and Ben comments on my live while I'm going live, there's a good chance that Bob will see Ben's comment and my post in his newsfeed. So it just exposes you to a wider audience. And this is how content goes viral, of course. If loads of people comment and and stuff, all of a sudden you're getting exposed to all these different news feeds, and it just spirals because everyone's commenting and liking at an accelerated rate. But in order for it to do that, it's got to happen at a quick pace, right? So speed does matter. So you want to get comments relatively soon. That's why I've always say, what city you tuning in from right at the start. So calls to comment is something which I want to do more of, but essentially at stages throughout your live, if you plan it really well, you could be covering off say 4 topics, and then at the start of each next topic you could ask a question for people to comment. And so you could, if you end up doing 4 or 5 parts throughout the live where you ask people to comment, and so you might say something like, so I just asked, who's used live video? Have any of you used live video, by the way? I haven't seen any comments come through. If you haven't, say no, so I know that you haven't. Facebook, Instagram, one of you did, yes, on Instagram, that's right. My weekend was full of family. I'm missing a few comments, aren't I? Amelia, good to hear from you. A few familiar faces popping up, that's good. Yeah, so I didn't really have much experience with live video on Facebook, but since LinkedIn's come around, I started my Monday night live series, which is this, pretty much straight away. And it's funny, there's been times when I've been at the beach and I forgot that I had Monday Night Live, and I've had to rush back to the car and do it. There's been times when I've done it at the airport. And then, there's been times when I've been really planned. There's been times when I've had some really awesome guests on. We had Dr. John D. Martini on recently. Jack DeLosa came on. And a lot of surprise guests, people who just jumped in last minute. One week, I decided to let people who submit questions. Normally they post it with the hashtag AskNat. I grabbed a few of them and I said, why don't you just come join me on the live? So I had about 6 or 7 people from the audience jump in and ask questions and interact with me. That was quite a bit of a lot happening at once, but that was awesome. So you can experiment with different ways to add value through live video. And I think what I like about it is it forces you you've got to produce that content every week, and it's out there. And I think so, no matter what else is happening in your business career, whatever, you've got that one bit of communication going out without fail. And I think that's so important for most businesses, because most businesses are not posting, or most business professionals are not posting enough at all. I am posting on a daily basis, but not going live on a daily basis. At least I'm doing one live a week. And all the other content's like prepared from keynotes and webinars and stuff like that. We got PJ in the house, ladies and gentlemen. PJ is a champion. PJ is killing it on LinkedIn at the moment. Good value content. It just goes to show. Just adding a lot of value. I saw him go. PJ, you were going live on Instagram on Sunday, weren't you? This guy doesn't have a day off. There you go, Marshy. Yeah, it's good to see, mate. So you've got your calls to comment, right? And doing a 30 days of live. Wow. This is that's pretty intense. So, I think it's a great personal development exercise, because, you kind of, with social media and content marketing, like a lot of us who are creating content, it's not like we've, done media before. So it's kind of, we're pretty much doing a crash course as we go. It's a little bit like that Tarzan story, where he's like grabs one vine, he's trying to get the other side of the jungle, and the vine doesn't take him directly like towards the other side of the jungle, but it sort of like takes him a little bit closer, and then he grabs the next vine, and he's not really sure where each vine leads, but eventually he gets to the other side of the jungle. And I feel like that's what's going on with content marketing. It gives you good experience. I think the other thing you can do with live video, by the way, other than like a weekly show like this, is you could, like on Instagram, this is probably more common, but you could pretty much go live when you're out and about. Like a lot of time doing that at events can work really well. We've done a lot of, we've filmed some events live just with the telephone. So it allows people that can't get there in person to tune in. And like, these are the sort of things you need to be thinking about in the economy where everything's going virtual. I mean, it's not everything's going virtual, but I think everything has to be virtual as an option to give the customer what it wants or what it needs. I think you kind of need to deliver that option. I'm excited about it because it does open the door up to a global market. So we've got LinkedIn versus Instagram as the next event, which is on the 11th of February here in Perth, and we've got a big venue at a local hotel, and then the following week we've got an AV company organising a studio for us to do the same event but virtually. So live, so we'll be able to interact with people via something similar to Zoom, but where they'll be able to actually speak back to us as well. We'll be able to have live engagement. We'll be able to see all their faces on the big screens. So I'm really excited about seeing how it all goes. It's a lot, like, it seems like a big investment for a virtual event, but you think about it, like, if these are the things that these are the way seminars and conferences are going to be delivered now. There's a lot of value there. Like, there's not really any alternative. You want to attend these things, and so most people will probably just like go on a Zoom, and it's kind of like this. Like, it's, like a conference is not really going to stand out if it's just on Zoom. So having like the studio and all the AV, I think, is going to make a huge difference. Anyway, it's my first experience doing this, so it's going to be cool to see how it is. I know Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone are doing some cool things in the virtual space. I've been following them on Instagram, and they got me inspired. So yeah, look, if you haven't got your LinkedIn versus Instagram tickets, by the way, then you're making a big mistake, because this event's going to be epic. There's going to be some awesome content. Brooke Valinovich, I call her the arch nemesis, but she is the guru when it comes to using Instagram for business. Like, if you want to use it for business and not just to get likes and take Instagram pictures and get like people to send you free bikinis, and yeah, Brooke's the person to follow. She knows her stuff. That's why I'm doing the event with her. And of course, like, when it comes to LinkedIn, your boy knows what he's talking about. Yeah. A lot more people going to pop up saying they're LinkedIn trainers and LinkedIn experts. over the next year. I tell you what, because it's just like this is where everything's heading, and there's so much confusion. So many people, like business professionals, business leaders, people that want to advance their career, recruiters, want to understand social media and social selling desperately, and a lot of them don't really are very clueless, and so it's an opportunity for a lot of people to sort of manipulate them into doing business with them. It's a bit like when search engine optimization started, right? And you see all these cowboys offering search engine optimization services who really didn't know what they were doing, and they would charge these massive monthly fees, and they were like, oh, don't stop paying because otherwise you're going to drop off the face of Google. The reality is a lot of them didn't know what they were doing, and so if you speak to most business leaders and you say, hey, have you employed an SEO agency before? There's not many that won't tell you that they've had a bad experience. Even I've hired SEO agencies that give me a bad experience before. And so that's what happens with immature industries. And so if you're looking for a LinkedIn trainer, you see them popping up, you've got to make sure you do your homework. Look at who their clients are, look at what they say, the recommendations, testimonials. Don't buy into all the bullshit marketing hype that's out there. Anyway, that's enough bagging my competitors. What else we got here? Amelia's can't wait for LinkedIn versus Instagram. Man, if I had live, I'd smash it everywhere. PJ, I've got to apply, bro. Apply again. You show them some couple of links to content that you've been posting, and then you say, look, I plan to post this often, and this is what I'm going to do when I post. I'm going to, get questions and answers or whatever it may be. Let them know you've got a plan, and then just follow up and say, hey, I haven't heard back. Can I have some feedback? That's what I did. To be honest, when I want something like LinkedIn Live, or I want an interview with a certain guest, I can be a bit of a pest. I'm a little bit, I do contact them quite a lot. So LinkedIn would probably just give the bloody Bibster, give Nathaniel bloody LinkedIn Live so he stops emailing us. Jesus. Amelia is excited for LinkedIn versus Instagram. Oh, we're well over 50% sold, which is awesome. We weren't expecting to be this, had sold this many tickets for LinkedIn versus Instagram so far. Super exciting. The virtual event's still at crazy early bird prices. It's about 50% discount. It's really cheap, the early bird tickets for the virtual event. So go check that out, bibbyconsultinggroup.com.au/virtual. All right, so what else? So you've got these live shows, you can do live events. What else could you do? You could do in-person interviews. There's no reason why you can actually, if you've got a video production company, hook up multiple cameras and that kind of thing. I know Ahmed Imam with Success Resources is doing a weekly live, and I think the first episode was in the TV studio. That's epic. They're doing a great job. So once we've got approved to do LinkedIn Live, you're gonna need some streaming software, and I've used most of them that team up with LinkedIn. It's very confusing. I don't know if any of you saw my first few lives, but the first one was a black screen. And then it was no audio, and then I was this third-party software stuff. I sort of should have probably read the instructions in a bit more detail. But yeah, it was hurting. It took me 4 or 5 goes until I managed to stream live successfully. And Restream is a platform that I've come across probably towards the end of last year. I think it was August last year, and I started experimenting with it, and they're really on the pulse with LinkedIn in particular. I've noticed the content that they publish, telling you how to use Restream with LinkedIn, is pretty cool. And what they do is they allow you to post live, stream live on up to 30 platforms at once. And the average social media user is now on 8.6 platforms, right? So I mean, I'm going live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn right now, all 3, and I can see all 3 of your comments. All comments popping up from YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I believe I can even, here we go, I've got to share this. I believe you could even automatically show the comments as they pop up. There you go, overlay chat. So I think if you guys comment now, it might pop up. Yep, should work. Anyway, so cool things like this, which you can't do on some of the other applications. So once you get approved, go and set up a Restream account, and I will put a link in the comments. Why are these chats showing up? Is it because I did it halfway through? I don't know, these are old. Type some comments in, guys, so we can see if they pop up. It's good to see a few of you experimenting with live. Hey, Lorraine, are you going live on LinkedIn as well, or is this Facebook or Instagram? Keen to know. All right, so Restream. The other thing is, I'm going to tell you a bit of a secret. Oh, here we go. It's showing up. Amelia, she just tunes in to see Marshall. Yeah, so the other thing you can do, which is a bit of a secret, I don't know if people have noticed me doing this on LinkedIn, but Restream are pretty clever guys. They've got a capability where you can upload a pre-recorded video and schedule it as if it's a live. And so what I've been doing with, just as an experiment with a few of my old LinkedIn heroes interviews, I posted Grant Cardone, I did Elena Cardone, I did, what else did I do? I did Stephanie Rice, and I scheduled them as lives. And so, you know, it looks as if the whole thing's live, but it's actually pre-recorded. And then what I can do is I can log into the back end like this while it's streaming live and engage with people that are watching it. So it's almost like having a watch party for pre-recorded content. So if you're a little bit like, if going live is a little bit scary to you, and I completely understand, like it's still, you know, I still find it a bit nerve-wracking, then you could experiment with the pre-recorded stuff. I'm not sure if it does get as much reach. Like I seem to have, and I don't know if this is because, you know, obviously you guys know that I'm going live Monday 6 o'clock, so I'm probably, you know, going to get more now anyway when it's actually live. But yeah, it's been touch and go. Like different times of day seem to do, you know, very differently with the live videos. I'm still experimenting, but definitely Monday, you know, 6 p.m. is always when I get the most people on. And that's, you know, obviously just goes to show that if you're consistent and you show up at the same time, you know, each week, you know, it doesn't take long before it's like, you know, Monday night and, you know, you're waiting for your pizza to arrive. I don't know, not many people probably eat pizza, just me on Monday nights. Anyway, and you think, oh, Nathaniel's on, we'll just tune in and say, you're a bloody legend, man, and then go eat my pizza. We've got Brooke in the house, ladies and gentlemen, tuning in from Facebook. Ha! I don't know, I've got you showing up in the side. I don't need to show you up on the left, do I? Watch you get from mums. That's awesome. Brooke, are you coming to LinkedIn versus Instagram? I want to know. Tickets are selling fast. I'll probably get somebody to do some live from the live event in Perth for LinkedIn versus Instagram, but the virtual event is going to be epic. I really can't wait. So we've talked about a few ideas of how you could go live. What else could you do? I mean, you could do a product demonstration, couldn't you? What about like announcements, like a product launch, you know, something like that? I think the content that does best live is longer form stuff, because it's going to take a while for people to jump on the call. Like now it seems to be a bit more active. Like there's a lot more people tuning in because the notification that I'm live has been around for longer. So you can go live, I think it's up to an hour on LinkedIn, which is plenty of time, especially in this heat. Whereas the pre-recorded videos, the 2 to 3 minute mark is where you want to be on LinkedIn. Like the shorter versions do better. Like I think people are more likely to hang in live when it's live because they're like, oh, what's going to happen next? They get to comment, they're more engaged. So longer form content does well. And I think that questions and answers are a fantastic way to add value, because think about it, if your audience is asking you the question, it's obviously like what they want. And I know that like not everyone's going to be interested in the same question, but if you're answering 15 questions on a call, there's a good chance that you're like getting better at like reading what the audience wants. And then you'll find in the comments, people give you feedback, people will be more engaged in regards to some sort of, some parts of the episode. And so that you can use that to like kind of filter out in future episodes, like what your audience will be interested in. You notice like Gary Vaynerchuk, when you watch him do like Ask Gary V, he's been doing it so long, and like he'll get asked a question and he'll say, yeah, well, like that's a good question, but like the way I'm going to answer it is this, because I know my audience will get more value. And that's, just from his experience, like reading the comments and stuff, he knows what his audience wants. And so he's kind of reverse engineering that when he's delivering his content. And because that particular individual posts a lot, right? Like, you think posting every day is hard. Dude's posting about 100 times a day, and I know he's got a team, but like, it's not easy. It is not easy to develop a strategy like that. And what makes that particular individual so good is he's getting 100 data points of feedback every day as well. Imagine trying 100 different ways to post content and looking at all the data, looking at all the comments, reading them. And you do that every day. Like, how fast are you going to learn what your audience is interested in hearing about at any one point in time? Because you might figure it out, but then if you're only posting once a week, it's only going to take 3 or 4 weeks before it to change. You've got to be keeping your finger on the pulse all the time. Brooke, has your mum tuned in yet? Brooke's mum, are you there? By the way, this isn't Brooke Instagram Brooke. This is Brooke, the chiropractor's wife, Brooke. Wedding celebrant Brooke. Mum's there. Hi, Mum. Okay, so I think we've covered a few good ways. I think the other thing I should say as well is when you have guests on and you interview them, I always try to ask questions that I am genuinely curious about. But what's cool is at the end, you can be like, okay, now let's just take a few questions from the audience, and whoever's dropped their questions into the comments, you can get an answer from the guest speaker. One thing I will say about getting guests on though, a lot of people have been approaching me lately, and I can kind of see a bit of a trend that, people starting podcasts and they want to get guests on that have big audiences, so they will share their podcast and that's their way to promote it. But the problem with that is it's a self-serving reason to get somebody on your show. And so they're if you're asking questions what is it that you can talk about to my audience? It's the wrong question, because you want to talk about what the audience is going to get the most value out of, and a good speaker will understand that. So you want to first add value to the audience. So the main reason that you want to get a guest on is because you think it will add value to the audience. I would like you to speak to my audience about this because this is why, and this is what they might be interested in. And then the second thing is you want to add value to the person that you're getting on as a guest, because they have a bigger audience than you. You need to add value. And so there's a few ways you can do that. I've got guys on, I've got Grant Cardone on my series. I've got 35,000 followers on LinkedIn at the time. The dude's got 4 or 5, 6 million followers on every channel. Why the hell would he want to sit down with me? And I'm like, well, I'm going to interview you. That's not enough value. You got to I said to him, look, we've got a very unique audience here on LinkedIn that would get a lot of value from hearing the challenges that you've had to overcome and what your thoughts are on what's going on in the social media industry at the moment. And hey, to make it even more valuable to you, when I finish the content, I'm going to use the interview to create all these little videos, these micro content, 5 or 10 assets or something, and I'm just going to give you the raw files so you can use them to post on your social media whenever you like. So these guys invest in creating video content all the time, and so the fact that you're just going to give them 10 posts, 10 short videos of them being interviewed with a professional video production and all that sort of stuff is valuable. And that's just one thing you can do. Another thing is you want to make sure you present yourself in a very, not professional necessarily, but you want to be organized and succinct. So you need to be able to say in one sentence what your podcast is, what your show is, who your audience is, and what it is that makes the show different. And they'll want to see the questions, but have 5 or 6 questions. They're not gonna read it. They just want to know that you have the questions. Because if you don't have the questions, what's going to happen is they're going to get on the interview, and then you're just going to be thinking of things while they're talking so you have to have some sort of direction where you want to take the interview. And good speakers who get asked to be on shows and podcasts a lot are looking for this kind of stuff because they've had bad interviews. They know what it's like. And I'll tell you what, it makes all the difference when there's a guy who's interviewing is well prepared and understands his audience and what they want. You'll notice when Gary Vee interviews people, he's always cutting them off because he knows exactly what his audience is interested in. As soon as they start going off on tangents, he brings them back. And I've got in the habit I've been doing it for a couple of years now, where I'm interrupting people as well. I'll go, I'll just stop you there. Just want to move on, make sure the audience gets value. So these things, you learn, because none of us are, well, I'm not anyway, a trained, interviewer. But it's done wonders for my brand. And I'm telling you right now that in 2021, unless you have high volumes of content to post, you are going to lose market share, especially in business to business. I'm telling you right now, like, education and entertainment are becoming very, very important, very sought after. People want to connect virtually, and you've got to figure out how to do that in your business. Live video, go apply for LinkedIn Live. It's still very new. There's not many people, while there's not many people doing it, it means that you get a competitive edge because there's less competition. It means that the LinkedIn's going to be pushing the feature because there's not so many people doing it. Ian doesn't like Garrett GV. Well, you don't have to like him, but I'm just saying, we can learn something from the success. The success leaves clues. You can learn something from all these guys. And you know what? There's a lot of people I interview that I don't necessarily like either. But I'm trying to figure out, what's that one thing that I can learn from this interview. And I didn't anticipate that when I would interview people like Grant Cardone's a great example, that I would learn so much. I thought, oh yeah, this would be really good for my audience. It'll be good for my brand. But I learned more in 20 minutes with him than I would doing a 2-day program with him, because you get that, he can give you real live advice. And we talked about doing LinkedIn marketing together and stuff like that. It was just a really good learning experience, and I've had lots of them. And by the way, I want to do more podcast interviews this year. So if you've got a podcast, hit me up on Instagram, Nat Bibby, or LinkedIn, Nathanial Bibby, and tell me what your podcast's about, and tell me who your audience is. I'm really interested in doing a few more of those. All right, guys, I've blabbered on for long enough now, so time for me to get some dinner and feed my little puppy here. I hope you guys have a fantastic week in business. I want to know how you go with your lives this week. I'm going to be tuning in to some of you that said that, especially you, Lorraine, I want to check out what you've been up to with your live videos. All right. Thanks so much, all of you, for tuning in to this episode of Monday Night Live. I shall see you next week. Have an awesome week in business. Go out there and crush it. Make me proud.